Hello and welcome to Rank Advertiser. And I'm excited to see you today. My name is Glory. I'm your host. We're here on a mission to inspire, enlighten, and empower every single person every single day. Guess what? Today I have a special guest for us today. Our guest is going to be Sumit. Sumit is a social entrepreneur, professional reporter, and a service-focused professional with a strong commitment to serving the needs of disadvantaged youth and adults around the world with limited to no access to education, employment, and resources. India's largest media publication house, Danik Jangram, mentioned him as one of the top change maker of India, and America's Herald Business Journal recognized him as one of the emerging leader of Snohomish County. A former Fulbright scholar, Sumit currently serves as the board member of Leadership Snohomish County. He has worked and collaborated with institutions like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Population Service International, United Way, and so on. Since May 2016, Sumit has been working with STEPS, an agency with the Department of Social and Earth Services in Washington, receiving the 2016 and 2018 Exceptional Work Ethic Award for his exemplary work with developmentally disabled youth in Snohomish County area. So without further ado, I'm gonna introduce Sumit. Sumit, hi, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Glory. How are you?
I am doing amazing. It's great to see you today. Uh, it's great to see you. For the people who doesn't know a bit about you, what would you say? How would you describe yourself?
Well, how do I describe myself? I describe myself as your friend, and so I have known Glory for a while now, and so one of his great friend. But I come from India. I'm originally from India. That's where I come from, and I've moved here about I feel like 10 years ago, 9, 10 years ago, and I've been working here. So in a nutshell, I'm a hardworking person. I work really hard for my life and for everything, for people around me. And yeah, that's who I am, a hardworking, persistent person.
Definitely, I totally agree with you. And tell me a little bit about what are some of the things as you see the way life is growing in education and mentorship. What are some of the things that looking back you see that was one of the most important point in your life?
It is a glory, and the reason that I said I was going to talk more about my career and where I come from, my background and everything, and why it is important, particularly for when we talk about education and
Mm-hmm.
mentorship and all these things. I grew up in India, in a rural part of India, and growing up, the schools that I've attended, like the government schools, they would not have all the resources available there. While attending the schools that I've attended, sometimes they won't have the toilets. Sometimes the teachers won't show up in the classroom. So even despite growing up with all those adversities, there were people in my life. There were people who have supported me throughout my life, throughout my career. My mentors, I call them my mentors, and it is because of them why I'm here at this stage. I was able to, as you said earlier, that I was able to receive a Fulbright. I was able to receive a scholarship from the U.S. government to come to the United States, and so all the opportunities that I have received in my life, all I have been trying is to give back to the community, and so I think that's why the piece of education or the piece of mentorship is really important for me.
Great. That's amazing. Um, as once you arrived in the U.S., what were some of the things in terms of education that you saw that was a bit different from India?
Many different things. The entire educational system, I feel like the education system is. very different.
Very good.
Of course, there are talented students in both sides of the world, be it in India or be it here in America. But it's the opportunity. I think the opportunity part is what's missing, and truly that's what separates one's success and one's being unsuccessful. And so I think the opportunity, because there's so many talented students growing up, many of my friends, they were extremely intelligent students, extremely talented students. They never received the opportunities, and they never were able to do the things they wanted to do. Some of them wanted to become an engineer at NASA. Some of them wanted to become a scientist or a doctor, but they never were able to do it. And the only thing that was difference was the opportunity. They were not able to receive the opportunity. As I said, in my life, I was fortunate enough to receive the opportunities, different opportunities throughout my life, and I have worked hard for it. I know that it never came easy. I've worked hard for it, but I think that's what is the key difference. Students here, they have opportunities in their palms. There's this internet. They can search all these opportunities. All the schools have facilities, basic necessities that's available to them. All these things are available to the students here. All they need to do is work hard and get those things. Back in India, where I grew up, the opportunities, the necessities, the availabilities were not there. And I think that's what I see the different in these two nations particularly.
In this too. Yes, I can relate to your experience as well because I was born in the Congo and it's a French speaking country. And the system in terms of education is totally different. For example, one of the things that I've noticed there was that the classes, we weren't picking classes in the university. You pick your major, and there is all these classes that come with it. But once I arrived in the US and I was doing my education here, I realized that you can pick your classes. You get to choose how many classes you get to take, even if you're in a certain major. So the freedom of choosing your classes was very flexible for me. I was like, man, this is so easy. So,
It, it is,
so
no doubt. It is. I think the system, the educational system all around the world, it needs some work, it needs some reorganizing. A student should, in my particular view, that a student should have the option to choose their classes. A student should have the opportunities to learn what they want to learn, because I think if there's a student who's really smart in mathematics, there's no need for him to push it or force him to go and learn arts, because I think if he's really intelligent in mathematics, let him learn mathematics. Let him explore work in the field, in the field of mathematics. And so, as you say it rightly, this is one of the things that has definitely need to be worked on.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And the other thing that I really appreciate about you, I remember once we were in college together at Everett Community College, you constantly had the entrepreneurial spirit and the leadership to build project, to be involved into event, to create things that wasn't familiar with a lot of students in there. What was the driving force behind the power to create things that you had in college and that you have still today?
Yeah, as I said earlier, the driving force is my upbringing. I grew up in middle class family, a lower middle class family, I would say. And you know we didn't have enough resources. We grew up in a very very rural village in India, where we didn't have opportunities. Many of my fellow students, fellow friends, didn't have those opportunities. I remember when I was really young, uh, I would wait for every Wednesday, and wait for every Wednesday, because every Wednesday we would receive newspaper, and in the newspaper there'd be this education section, where there would be like this information about different scholarships, or information about people who are successful in their life. and I would really wait for that every Wednesday, and want to read those stories about those people, and find, and every time I would read about any scholarship, I would make a list of it and keep it with me, or cut it out and keep it with me. And so I think that's where I learned about all these scholarships, and when I came to Delhi to pursue higher education, I applied for one of these scholarships and eventually received it. But as you talked about, all the project and all the ideas that I have, or all the you know the way I push it, it's all because of my fellow students that were there, who never received those opportunities. One of my friend, I remember him now. He would be at least 200 times more intelligent than me, and he we met him. I met him at a place called Sitamari. It's where I was doing my 12th standard. 12th standard would be like from here it will be senior high school, senior sort of a thing. And so I was doing that there, and I met this guy. He was extremely intelligent. I felt like he should be in NASA. He should be doing the
Mhm.
scientist sort of a work with NASA. And but he never had that opportunity, he never got that opportunity. And now he is a farmer. Now think about this. I'm not saying that the work of a farmer is bad. What I'm saying is that the person who wanted to do some work with NASA, who had that knowledge too, who was that intelligent too, but he never received that opportunity. Now he's a farmer, and he never think about if he was in NASA, he might have done what sort of great work for India, or for America, or for the world actually. And so that's what really drives me. I think that's what drives me to provide the opportunities. And I think that's why when we started working on Pacific Willow, that was my real drive. I wanted to start Pacific Willow, a nonprofit, because I wanted to support these kids all over the world, that provide them opportunities, provide them resources, provide them mentorship, and provide them all the things that they need, so that another of my friend like that would never miss that opportunity, and whatever they want to become, they would become. And so I think that was my driving factor. And it's just not that friend, there are many friends like that I know, still know them, and still have connections with them, that are that have lost their desire because of having no resources, no opportunities.
And what
And the
else?
truth is, it's not just today. It will continue to drive me. Even the things that I'm doing right now, even the education that I'm pursuing right now, I'm studying international education and comparative education. In my research work, and my are really focused towards understanding the education system in different and developing countries, and how we can implement good education system, and how we can work with the governments and international organizations like UN, or all these, to implement good policies, so that students like my friend would never left behind. So it's not that my work with the Pacific will ended. It will continue to do throughout my life. All my research work, all my projects will always be devoted towards that. And I know
Great.
that for sure. Yeah.
Thank you. And one of the things I wanted to ask as you were speaking, there is this two question that came in my mind. If, what would be some of the advice you would give to leaders who have the mission to improve education across the education system? What are some of the feedback you think is very crucial in order to create an education system that really give opportunity to allow more people?
Yeah, if I have to give any advice, I would ask them to go and see the situation. I would ask them to go and see the situation in Congo. I would ask them to see the situation in Ghana. I would ask them to go and see the situation in Bihar, where I'm from. See how the education system work. See how there are still like basic necessities like tables, benches, toilets, chairs, teachers. They're not available to students. How would a student thrive if the basic necessities are not there? And see all the other challenges, like think about this challenge. The whole COVID thing happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
COVID-19 happened. The education system was almost trapped. It was shut down.
Mm-hmm.
uh, in the urban, places like Seattle or places like, DC or places like New York, here teachers can teach to their students through, all these, we have Zoom, we have internet, we have all these facilities. But think about the village in Congo. How would a teacher, think about a rural village in Congo. How would a teacher connect with their student? Places where there's no internet, places where there's no, you know, of course they're doing, groundbreaking work. They're, I know my niece was learning through WhatsApp, which is another, another, connection, sort of a social media sort of a way to connect. And so there are teachers. Teachers are amazing all over the world. It's
Yeah.
just the government. The government needs to work. The leader needs to work, and they need to provide the facilities. They need to work more harder. And so teachers are, putting all their effort to make the changes that they can. The leader needs to work a little bit more.
A little bit
Go
more.
see these challenges.
Do you see those challenges as an investment issue where or an investment opportunity where governments need to look more into sectors to really develop to make sure that the infrastructure of education is there for every single student? Is he how you see it?
See, all the governments, be it in America, be it India, be it, South Africa, be it any government, all these governments, they are spending a fortune to defense sort of work, defense work. They're spending fortune. If they will spend 1/10 of that money, 1/10 of that, investment towards education. See, I personally feel, that education is the key to the
Mm-hmm.
world peace. If we want to bring the world peace, education is the key. Educate young people so that they know that, what world peace means, what it means to have a peace all around the world, what it means to have an open society, what it means to have a globalization, a thriving globalization. And so I think an investment is needed. Without investment, a government investment, um, the education system will not change. Without the right policies, you know the education system will not change. However much the civil societies, or however much all these, organizations can work, all the non-profit organizations, or all the organizations like Pacificville, or all the large non-profit organizations like Gates Foundation, they can put all their effort. But unless and until the policies will change, unless and until the government will, invest in young people's education, the change will not happen. I think that's where the change happens. The policy level, that's where the change happens. A mass change.
Great. Thank you for that point of view. That's very important. And I just wanted to ask this question for the people out there who don't believe in education. What are some of the thoughts you give them? Because I remember one of this day I was chatting with someone. They didn't believe in education. They're like, the education system need fixing, things are not working well. So I was like, okay, so the people who think like that, what would be some of your as an educator, what would be some of the thing that you tell them? What are they missing out on?
I'll tell you actually a story. It came to mind.
Yes.
So in 2013, November 2013. So that time I was working for a Gates Foundation project, Ananya 3SI, in my home state, Bihar. And so the organization that I was working with, is called CDOT, and so they sent me to this city in India. It's called Ahmedabad. It's a city of a state called Gujarat, in that Ahmedabad city. And I was supposed to work with, some sustainable organization. My organization was starting a sustainable project or something, and so I was supposed to work with this, sustainable organization there, and learn about how, rag pickers they work. And rag pickers, people who pick up all the garbage from the streets,
Mm-hmm.
and how they work, and learn about them. And so I went to this city called Ahmedabad. And so when I was talking to these, rag pickers and people who, their parents, they told me something that just blew my mind away. They said, so they had, like around 8 9 children. And all their children, there were two, they were still there when I was talking to this father of this, these children. And there were two, they were still there, they were too little. But other seven children, they were out on the street picking all the dust, picking all the rags, so that, they could sell it to this organization that I was supposed to work with, and so that they could make money. Now, when I was talking to him, I asked him that these are very young kids. Why are you not sending them to school?
Mm-hmm.
Um, they told me that, we, their duty is to earn money. Their duty is not to go to education. They have more children so they could earn money. That was their mindset. Now, think about it and compound it to all the people all over the world. Think about this sort of mindset. Think about all the challenges that people have, and not just this mindset, but also the challenges. Um, People do not have enough. People, in developing world, people do not even have food to eat. People are malnourished. People do not have sufficient enough food to feed their family. If they have a children, and if they don't have food, their children would, they would rather send their children to earn some money so that they could eat, instead of going to a school. Because food comes first. When there's a comparison between food and education, food will always win, no matter what. The hunger will always win. The
Mm-hmm.
education will never win, and instead of hunger. And so that's what it is. There are grave challenges all over the world. Basic necessities are not met, when it comes to education. And so people will always, when I think of that person, I think of that mentality. But also that, of course, the father is sick. There's no way that if these children will not work, they will be able to feed their family. So what's important for them is to feed their family. So I think the government needs to look at all these aspects. Government and all the non-profit organizations that they are working, they need to look at all these aspects. All these, these big, non-profit organizations, they provide a lot of funding to, all these organizations in developing world. But they don't know how those money are always spent. They need to make sure that they need to understand the problem in a real sense, and then actually understand how the money is spent, how things are working there. And so there's so many challenges in front of us. And to all those people who don't believe that there's the whole this thing about education, they need to understand that this is the way to change the world. Education is the way. Education is the key to change the world in the positive way. Of course, change. Malala Yousafzai, beat her. She put so much. She was shot, but she fought against all these things, and now she's becoming the voice of girls' education all over the world. And so it's education that changes the mindset. It's education that will change everything. And so I think people, all those people who don't understand it, they need to reevaluate and see some. One of the other thing that I will say,
Mm-hmm.
I really get excited about
Yes. Let's go.
it's just I just get really excited and really
Yeah.
emotional too. But one of the things that I'll say, I am mentoring. I mentor some students through this non-profit in India called Freedom Employability Academy. Some of my mentees, they are Muslim girls, Muslim girls, and so they are there. They tell me that their parents are not allowing them to pursue their dream, and so they want to become something, but they're not able to become because their parents are saying that you need to go get married, and you need to get married and get settled, and they're only like 19, 18 years old, young girl. So I say to all those parents,
Mm-hmm.
not just Muslim, every religion, Muslim, Hindu, Christian, every religion, understand this. At this young age, if you will not support your children with their education, and push them into marriage, it will not do good to them. If there's any conflict, it comes in the future, your girl will always be downgraded by their in-laws. And so I think there's so many grave challenges, Glory, out there in the world when it comes to education, when it comes to girls' education. I don't know. We all need to work together on it.
together.
We all need to change mindsets. And all the work that you're doing, if it reaches to 10 people, and all the 10 people that, if they can understand this, that how important it is, education, for their
It is.
children, and how it can change the world. I think that's the success out there.
I totally agree with you. I think this podcast, what we share here, really help a lot of people out there who are watching and educate themselves in the topic that we share. And I'm a big believer in education because I've seen what education can do, even the economic impact of getting an education in the marketplace. You rise in terms of market value in the work that you do, and if you don't have an education, you can't do certain job. And I think giving children and the ability to educate themselves is something that every single parent should really work towards to give to their student, to their kids, as a gift, because long term, once you educate the nation, would they change the change society. For example, as we see, if we didn't have people who went to architecture school, we wouldn't have those beautiful buildings that we have here. So if we didn't have people who studied business, we wouldn't have the efficiency in building economy and growing business and employing a lot more people. That's why I believe education is very essential for a modern society.
And I will give you one tangent example. And I
Mm-hmm.
share this all the time with people that I am in touch with, or I connect with. When I was in India about 12 years ago, 2009, 10, I started, one of my mentor was Ajay Sahai. And so we started, working with this slum area in India. It's called Anna Nagar slum. And so there was this girl in Anna Nagar slum, in that slum. And this girl was extremely talented, extremely intelligent, and she was probably 11 years old, and I was 16 probably at that time. And so she was extremely talented. And so Ajay and I had, we had this study group that we had created in that slum. And, all the girls or the children of that slum, they would come and study there with us. So she would come, first, she would come sub before everyone. She would show up, she would go home at the last, and she would always do her work. And I mean, we saw that how intelligent she was. She was probably only 11 years old, but she was not in any school because of course she was in a slum. She didn't have any opportunity to attend school or anything. So we enrolled her in a local school and there. And then we went on to supporting other students out there, and then we went on to different slum areas and different work. And then in 2012, I came to USA. I received scholarship and I came here. Just 2 years ago, actually 3 years, 2018, end of 2018, I heard a message. I received a message on Facebook from a girl named Manisha. And so I mean, I didn't remember her. So I said, I asked, who are you? And, we had some conversation. And she said that, I'm Manisha. And we met at Ananagar Slum. And she said that, you were there and, enrolled me in the school and everything. And so then I remembered, yes, yes. And so we talked a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I asked her, how are you? How's things going with you? She said that, now, I have graduated from college, and now
Nice.
I work as an engineer at an IT company, and I
Wow.
live in a city with, I've rented my own apartment with my family, and they live with me. And I live in a nearby city. It's a place called Lakshmi Nagar. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where they live. And so that's when I realized,
Uh-huh.
that's why I realized the power of education. How powerful is education? Just a simple step just a simple step of enrolling her to a school. And she did not just change her life, but changed the lives of her family, changed the life of every girl who came across her, throughout her life. And she continued to mentor children. She continued to mentor young kids from slum areas and other places. So that is one tangible example that I have seen in my own life. And that's just one example. And I have so many different examples that I can share.
That,
And so,
mhm.
that's the change that education can bring.
That is so powerful. Thank you for sharing. That is a very touching message. And then the lesson as well is for me as you were speaking is if you see someone who's in need of education, you can help them. You know, enroll. Please spend the time to enroll them because you don't know how you can impact their lives in the future. And
Mhm.
one of the things I also love about your profile is you're also a mentor and you mentor a lot of students who are interested. And what are some of the most important thing that you transmit to them as a mentor? What are some of the things that you make sure that they have it in the system so they can be successful?
Yeah. Um, Glory, the reason, I still mentor, and I mentor, I spend a lot of time mentoring young kids, because I have been mentored. I am where I am because of all the mentors in my life. There are so many mentors in my life who have transformed me from that, little village, from that boy to all the things that I'm doing right now and everything that I'm involved, or, whatever I'm involved in.
Mm-hmm.
So I continue to give back as a mentor. And so everything that I have learned from my mentors, I try to reciprocate and give those things, as a mentor. So, you know, there are different nonprofit organizations in America and in India that I'm involved in, and through them I mentor young kids. There's one organization that I'm really deeply connected with. It's called Freedom Employability Academy. It's in India, and it's based in Delhi, but it runs throughout India. So their projects, they run it throughout India. But what I do is, every bi-weekly or monthly, we connect through, every 2 weeks we connect through Zoom call, and they have, there's a group of 14 to 20 students,
Mm-hmm.
and I mentor them, and mentor in a sense that, I teach them life lessons. I teach them, all the things, that I, share my own journey, I have faced so many adversities, and adversities in the sense that, when I lost my father at the age of 5, there were grave challenges for me and for my family. But I have had many adversities in my own life, and so I tell them that, you do come from all these kids, through FEA that I mentor. They come from, underserved communities, and so I tell them that, you may have millions of adversities in front of you, but, I am one living example in front of you. And there's so many like me, who have, crossed those adversities and come out of it. And there's so many good people out there,
Mm-hmm.
millions of good people out there who have their heart and soul in the right place to support people, to support other people who are in need. And so I think that's what I tell them. I empower them. I share stories with them. I tell them that, don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to put your voice up. Don't be afraid to, challenge the status quo. Go out there, make your own life, work hard. Nothing is impossible. When I
Mm-hmm.
say nothing is impossible, I really mean it. Nothing is impossible. And so that's what I tell them, that nothing is impossible. And so these students, they get, excited. They work towards, many of them are applying for international scholarships, and I support them with all these international scholarships. And many of them got accepted to, universities in UK. Many of them got accepted to universities in America, and they study here, they study there. And so I think that's what I do. I support them, I empower them, I tell them that, nothing is impossible. If all they have to do is just keep going, keep pushing, persevere.
Persevere. And one of my closing question uh, will be, what for the people who are out there who are still seeking opportunity, um, what are some of the message that you send to them so that they could surmount those challenges where they are, so they can learn from you? What are some of the messages you give to them as they watch this video?
Yeah. I would just say never lose hope. I think, this is something, that I say to everybody that I get connected with, that never lose hope, because hope is the most important thing in our life. It's hope that, keep us, going. We need to dream, we need to continue dream. One of my, well, I've never met him, so I cannot say that he was my mentor, but I consider him a self-proclaimed mentor. He was the president of India. His name is APJ Abdul Kalam, and he was the president of India. And he said that you need to dream. You need to dream. Even you need to dream. You need to dream so much that until your dreams become reality. And you need to dream even when you're awake, because those are the dreams that you can fulfill. Dreams that you can stay awake, that keeps you awake, that will keep you going. So dream, have a hope, have a faith, and work for it, because nothing comes free in this world. You need to put your heart and soul in it, and you need to work for it. And so work hard, dream, and have a faith. Have the hope and have the faith, and I promise you nothing is impossible. So that's what I say to all the young people out there. Yeah, you're mute.
Okay, my mic. Thank you. What is one of the closing words? One of your last words for today. I really love our conversation. I think we should have another episode. But what are some of the closing thoughts you would share with us and the audience?
Well, one word, if I have to say, if I have to, close it with one word, my one word would be gratitude. I think gratitude reciprocates, first of all. Gratitude reciprocates. So if you need to be gratitude, you need to show your gratitude to everyone who have supported you, throughout your life, throughout your career, and then you need to reciprocate it. You need to, give back and show your gratitude to people, come across you. And so gratitude is my word. Yeah. And I have a great faith in it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Are you again unmuted? I feel like can't hear you. Oh, I can't hear you.
Thank you
Glory.
very much. I think my mic is dropping.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no worries. Yeah.